Respected by their allies, feared by their foes, many call them the bravest of the brave. Boys from the hills of Nepal trained by the British to be the consummate global warriors, Gurkhas. The mere mention of the name Gurkhas is enough to set off a rush of emotions and stories from those who have fought against them and with them.
Our enemy against whom we've been operating has been totally unaware that the Gurkha has not only carried out a reconnaissance of his position, but actually crawled inside it and listened to his conversations in the trenches, taken some of his equipment and got away with a complete layout of the position on a plan.
For sport, Gurkhas used to slip through Japanese lines in World War II and cut the laces on the boots of Japanese sentries. There are even more chilling tales about what Gurkhas would surgically do to their enemies with their distinctive curved knives called kukris. The British first learned how fierce the Gurkhas are in combat when they fought against them in Nepal in 1814. After narrowly defeating them despite their overwhelming odds, the British asked the Gurkhas to join them. One British officer wrote, "I never saw more steadiness or bravery exhibited in my life. Run they would not, and of death they seemed to have no fear, though their comrades were falling all around them." Perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding the Gurkhas is how such naturally passive people have become such fierce fighters. Long before the term Rapid Deployment Force became the operative military buzzword, the British were dispatching their Gurkha battalions to hotspots around the world.
Well, the Gurkha is a natural soldier, that's the first thing. Of course, the background that he comes from makes him a hardened, durable human being. The Gurkha soldier will pay attention and do his job 24 hours a day without prompting. He somehow has his natural motivation and pride which makes him do that. When there's trouble about, it's nice to have a few of them around.
The Sultan of Brunei likes to have them around so much, he personally pays the British government the costs of keeping a regiment of Gurkhas in Borneo at all times to help protect his sultanate. As many as 200,000 Gurkhas responded to the British call for arms during World War I, with those not fit for infantry duty volunteering as ambulance drivers. From fighting in Europe and North Africa during World War II to guerrilla warfare in the Malay jungles in Borneo, the Gurkhas have created a legacy of being virtually undefeatable in combat.
He, at home, is often a hunter. He's used to moving around the countryside, and he makes a remarkably good infantry soldier, particularly in the bush or the jungle. He's silent and stealthy, and very difficult to detect.
Above all, the Gurkhas have been fiercely loyal to the Queen and the British Army for nearly 200 years of distinguished service, not as detached mercenaries or cheap soldiers, but as professional members of an extended military family. They swear to serve for a minimum commitment of 15 years. When a British officer once asked volunteers for a difficult parachute assault in World War II, only half the Gurkhas immediately stepped forward. As the story goes, the other half said they would go too, if only they could use parachutes. Real or imagined, the Gurkhas' mystique was their most potent weapon in the Falklands War. Just before the final attack on Port Stanley, the British leaked the plans for a Gurkha invasion. To the man, the defending Argentines fled, rather than learn firsthand if the Gurkha legends were more fiction than fact. The mountain kingdom of Nepal is a portrait of pastoral beauty and tranquility. The Nepalese have not gone to war against anyone in over a century. But for the past 100 years, many of Nepal's best young men have been fighting and dying for someone else's country. Nepal is also a portrait of lifelong poverty, with historically one of the world's lowest per capita incomes. Much of the Gurkha legendary dedication and determination comes from the harsh economic realities of life in Nepal.